Hi everyone, it's Heidi from flutterbyheidi.co.uk. I'm Heidi Smith. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator based in the United Kingdom. And today I thought I would have a bit of a play with some products that I haven't used for a little while. And to start off with, I thought I would use the lovely Flowers of Friendship, which is a stamp set that's been around a while, and it's in the annual catalogue. And you can also buy the punch, that Flowers and Leaves punch, that coordinates with it, and it cuts out these two flowers here and these leaves as well. Great one with sentiments, and some paper that actually I got as part of a pack when I went to a recent get-together with my fellow poodlers, and it was a bit of the Splendid Day paper, which I have used, and it's really lovely, and it's gorgeous foil. You can see here reflecting my lights. The paper itself is double-sided. It's 12 by 12, as you can see here, and you've got lovely either foiled, you can see gorgeous sort of coppers and soft sea foam, and we've got a bit of Sahara sand in there, and there's another sort of coppery one. There's fresh freesia, and then there's this gorgeous, this is probably my favourite, I think, this lovely one with the little ladybirds as well. So that's the one side, and then if I flip that over, you can see the reverse side with Calypso coral and soft sea foam, beautiful colours. So yeah, I can't remember where I put my sample pack. Life's been a bit chaotic, so do you know what, we're just going with the flow. And I just wasn't organised enough to get it sorted in time to do this video. But let's do the card. So the card here, it's a really simple variation on a fold, but I think I've called it a fold back card in the past. It's like a bit of a floating panel. Great because it stands up nicely, like so. And I kept it really simple just to kind of make the most of that DSP, with some sort of tone-on-tone stamping as well. So let's get on with the stamping. So to start off with then, I've created a panel for the front of this, and this layer is 7 by 11 centimetres, 3 by 4 3/4 inches. So that's the one we're going to do our stamping on. So having done it in this lovely soft sea foam, I thought I'd go for fresh freesia, which is a gorgeous colour. So I'm just going to grab my pad. I've already popped the stamp onto a block, and it's one of our larger blocks. I think it fits onto the H as well, but I've put it on E, so that's an E block I've used there. If you have the Stampin' Up! Blocks, then I would recommend that you use the get the case for them. If you don't want the really big block, what a friend of mine showed me that they'd done was they used the aperture for the really big block to actually put a number of the small blocks in, so when they're out and about, it just keeps them really nicely protected. So bigger stamp, it just about fits onto the stamp pad, so I'm just inking that up, and I'm just going to come in and there you go, stamp my flowers in the corner there. Pop that to one side and grab my sentiment set, and I'm just going to pop that down in that bottom corner, just like so. Okay, so now we can do some stamping of our flowers. Now what I did with these ones is I stamped them in soft sea foam onto soft sea foam, so I've got some scraps, and literally these are just scraps out of my scrap bag, and I'm just going to stamp my flowers, and I'm going to leave a kind of gap between them of about, that actual one's a bit low actually, try and get that in the middle, of about an inch or so, just so when I punch them out, I don't cut into the next flower. So you could stamp punch then, and that would probably be more economical. So what I mean by that is, so you could stamp, then you could punch a flower out like so, and then you could then stamp wherever your next aperture is. But as I say, I generally find about an inch or so between them. I'm just lining that up. If you have dexterity issues, then do press down, and it's actually better for your punch to do that really. But you know, we tend to go for the quick option, don't we? And just make sure you get rid of your excess as well. You don't want it fouling up in there. So now that one I've punched a little bit low. I've stamped a little bit low even. So I'm just going to come in here with this one. Nights are drawing in now, so I've got my lights on, so apologies if it's a little bit dark. So I want 4 of these flowers. So I'm just going to use the reverse of that. Always good. Two sides to every piece of cardstock. So if you make a mistake, flip it over and stamp on the reverse. No one's going to see the back of it, if you're careful which one you use. Okay, so that one, when I say that is because obviously on the back you will see the back of that one, but you won't see the back of these ones, so I can use it in that top corner. Okay, so let's have a look at that. Okay, the other things I'm going to do, so those are my flowers. I'm going to stamp some leaves, whereas I did it all tone on tone with that one, I'm obviously with leaves I'm going to use the soft sea foam. Again, works really well with this fresh freesia. And I've just taken again another one of my scraps, a bit of a scrap buster this one, and I'm just going to stamp my leaves there. When I stamped them on soft sea foam, I kind of found I felt they didn't really work as well. So I just wanted to add a little bit of white to lift that, because you've got quite a dense colour on the back there. Oh gosh, I'm so disorganised. Other things you'll need a blender pen, and that's what I've used for these. There we go. And what I've also done is, in case I change my mind, I've also stamped and punched some of these out on basic white and just coloured those a bit as well. Okay, gosh, it is looking dark on there. Oh, joys of winter. Clocks go back. This is what happens. So I'm just going to punch those leaves out. Again, just be careful you don't get sort of scraps jammed in there. I'm just going to, because that's what happens. So just tear off the little bits as you go along. There we go. So I just take those off. Otherwise they, I mean, you can release punches, but hey, it's better not to gunge it up if we haven't got to. So I kind of used sort of 3 or 4 of those. So I'm just going to stamp another couple of those. Just so that I've got a couple of spares as well. There we go. And this, I mean, I don't actually know of another stamp company, there probably are, who do coordinating stamps and punches. It was one of the things that really attracted me to Stampin' Up! In the first place. Just to have something that, you can quite easily go through and stamp your images, punch them out. I think it was Petite Petals was probably one of my first stamp sets with maybe a round array. Gosh, if you've been around a bit, that may be familiar with you. But yeah, one of the first ones I bought, just because I just thought it was so lovely to be able to quickly create things. I'm going to pop this sample to one side, just so we can clear the decks a little bit. So this is our panel for the back. We then want a panel for the back centre of our card as well, and that's 10 by 10 centimetres. So I'll just check. Yeah, so this is 10 by 10 centimetres, and I've taken the long floral image from the stamp set, and I'm just going to eyeball it, and by that I mean I'm not going to measure it, I'm just going to line it up and kind of go, is that in line with the bottom of my piece of card, and is it generally centred? There we go. And that means that's when you get, you'll see just that little bit peeking through those flowers when it's closed. So again, that's off to one side. Now, what I want to do next is I'm going to take one of my blocks, I'm just going to dab it in my ink pad to give me like a colouring palette. Close up my ink pad before I get myself too messy. And I'm just going to take my blender pen. Make sure. And I'm just going to pick up a little bit of ink from there and just add it to the centre of my flowers, just to give them a little bit more interest. Like so. I'm not colouring the centres on these because I'm adding some of our beautiful iridescent pearls to the centre, just to add to the shine that we've got with that lovely foil paper as well. There we go. Okay, so those are my flowers, and once I've got my card coming together, I'll decide whether I'm going to use these ones or whether I'm perhaps going to use my white ones instead. So I'm just going to stamp another one, because we usually, as I said, we want those odd numbers. Just a little bit of colour in there. And then again, just punch, just knock everything flying and just punch that out. Okay, right. So I've now got 4 of each that I can make a decision with. I've got 4 little leaves there, and I can now actually create my card base itself. So this is really easy. Again, fun folds made easy. You want a piece of card for this that is 26.5 by 10.5 centimetres. Which I've already cut down, so not quite a full length of A4. If you're working in inches, it's 4 1/8 by 10 7/8. You're going to want your extender bar out, because you are going to score at 5, at 8, at 18.5, and at 21.5 centimetres. Okay, let me just double check. Yeah, that's my 26.5. Okay. If you're working in inches, that's 2 1/8, 3 3/8, 7.5 and 8 3/4. If you're working in US cardstock, I have done the measurements. They are slightly narrower on those front panels to make your slightly shorter card base. But I say this is kind of a variation. Is it a variation on a U-fold? It probably is, actually, thinking about it. So who knows what it is? U-fold variation, floating panel card, you know, gosh, you know, I think half the issue is often coming up with names. Anyway, I think it's a pretty card. So, and it's, you know me, I just like something that's a little bit different. And the great thing about these is fun folds are sometimes when you send them through the post, people aren't always sure what to do with them. So this is one where it's really easy because it's obvious what to do. What I've done is I've cut 2 panels of my lovely Fresh Freesia foiled paper, and these are 5 by 10.5 centimetres, so they go the full width. And what you're going to do is add some adhesive to that. With foil paper, obviously sometimes it shows through, so this is a great time to, and by that is because as you sort of press down, you can kind of create lines. So I thought if you try this sort of like the spade end of the glue dispenser, pop that on there. And just pop that on. And just be gentle with it, you know, you don't want your glue showing through. I say it's only because you're putting a little bit of pressure on sometimes that it does that. So there we go. Make sure that that is lined up. And the great thing about these is if you get any overlap at all like that, you can come and trim that off afterwards. But because it's to the front, you're not going to notice. So there's our basic card. So now it is really a case of assembling it. So we can add our centre panel while those side panels are drying. So that's going to be where you're going to write your sentiment, like so. Or if you wanted to, you could do some more decoration on that and then write your sentiment on the back if you wanted to. You'll want a piece of Fresh Freesia that is 7.5 by 11.5 centimetres, and this is the part that's going to go into the centre here. So this is where you want to glue this just on this left hand section. So round about 1 inch, 2.5 centimetres, and I am going to just eyeball that. As you can see there, just nice and centred. And then the next part is to add floral decoration. So let's have a look. Now I think maybe in this instance I was possibly right. I think maybe the white flowers are going to work better. So all I'm going to do is just shape those slightly, add a bit of dimension, and I'm going to pop those around that edge. So I'm going to sort of just place them to start off with. Make sure I've got the one that isn't stamped on the back. This bottom corner. So this is the one where you need to be a little bit careful not to get your adhesive out of place. So what I'm going to do is actually put the adhesive on that front corner, like so. And then I can pop my flower on the edge. With these ones at the top, it's easy enough to pop some adhesive on there because they're, as long as they're on this centre panel, you just want to make sure it doesn't go onto this other bit here. But basically, you're okay to pop these. In fact, I might even pop one of those up on a dimensional. Looking at that, let's pop a dimensional on the back there. Just popped a dimensional on there. There we go. Actually, yeah, I like that with the dimensional. You could use a mini dimensional on these. You don't need the size of a main one, but my big ones just happen to be to hand. So pop those in, and then with your leaves, those can come in on the back there. And sometimes with these, it's worth rather than trying to put a lot of glue or a little bit of glue onto a small thing, just pop a little puddle onto a scrap of card and then dip your leaf into it. Let's pop that underneath there, I think. There we go. So have a play around. I'm going to pop another one just in the corner here. Just lift that up. And then we'll pop one on the top there. And actually in this instance I'm going to pop a bit of glue on the top of the leaf. As in where the stamped image is, because I'm going to just attach it behind that flower. Like so. Then I'm going to do the same again with this one. Just attach that on the back there, like so. And then while those are drying, now we can pop our iridescent pearls on. These are so pretty. You'll see, as you can see, real lovely amount of shine. Little tiny ones I think are perfect for this. There are 2 sizes on here, but they just add just a lovely bit of shine, and so easy to place using the take your pick putty end. Just grab those on there like so. So once you've added your flowers, just add your leaves to the outer edges, and then I've just added a little bit of colour to these flowers here. Again, just using the blender pen just to add a little shading in that tone on tone. Then we're just going to add some dimensionals to the back here. You know me, I'm always a little bit, frugal with my dimensionals, but this is one of those occasions when I do like to make sure we have plenty of dimensionals, because you don't want it to be saggy in the front there. So if I show you there, so all I've done is added those onto the back. Grab your dimensionals away. I know some people use the take your pick to remove those. I just seem to stab myself on my card when I do that, so I'm just going to use the edge of my nail to lift those up. And then all we need to do is just pop that panel in the centre of our card, over the top there. Okay, and there you have our panel card, our variation on a U-fold card. You can see really pretty, stands up really nicely, folds flat to go into our envelope, and we've got it in fresh freesia or soft sea foam. Either I think look really pretty, and just those little pearls just peeking out give a lovely little shine. So thanks for watching. Come back and see me again soon. I really appreciate it if you've enjoyed the video. Hit the like button, and if you're not already subscribed, please do subscribe and hit that notification bell to be told when I'll be posting another video. And if you can support me by choosing me as your demonstrator when you check out with Stampin' Up, I would really appreciate it. If you just search for me, Heidi Smith, and select me as your demonstrator, I'll get told that you have. So thank you very much. I can then send you a thank you card and a little something the following month as well. Thanks for watching. Come back soon. Bye.